Alright, so this will probably be the final update on this build specifically. A couple of changes we've made. I think this wand is an upgrade from what we last saw. These boots are an upgrade. They've just got res that I need, maximum energy shield, mana, and movement speed, as well as rarity. We've fit in a bit more rarity on here, rarity here, rarity here. This was a div, this was a div, this was a div, this was a div. This, all round this build is probably like less than 10 divines. I think that 10 divines could be spent a whole lot better on another build. This build at tier 15, from what I can tell, does fine mapping. We're just running a blue tier 15 because it's the only one I've got at the moment. We'll try and get a map out of it, and I'll see if I can do a tier 15 boss for you guys as well. A couple of changes, because we swapped out the 3 dragons for this helmet to give us more energy shield, mana, the things we need. We've dropped the cast on freeze. Cast on shock, it doesn't feel worth running in this build. So what we're instead doing is running Ball Lightning and Eye of Winter in our cast on crit. Ball Lightning just so we can move around more. Eye of Winter because it also inflicts critical weakness, which is a flat crit chance multiplier on the enemy. Once they're at 10%, we've got 100% crit chance on any of our abilities against an enemy with 10%. We also get crit weakness from our Malice aura as well, so having both of those means it stacks up a bit quicker. Because we've swapped out the cast on freeze, we're running Blasphemy now with the temporal chains and area of effect, just so we've got a bit more survivability when we're teleporting onto things. They're just getting slowed down a bit. You could try and Feeble as well, just so that they actually have a reduced damage when you're teleporting on top of them. Lightning Conduit as our main damage against anything with crit weakness, even just like up to 5% or even 2%. I think crit weakness, we'd have 100% crit chance against it. And this absolutely slaps if they're standing on shocked ground. It's like 500,000 damage in a hit. And I'll see if I can show you that against a boss. This build will not do pinnacles very well at all. I've been trying to do the boss on the 4th floor of Sekimus, and I've gotten to it a couple of times with some really good relics and some really good relics and really good boons, and even still, just trying to kill it takes too long. It does too much damage, and as far as actually doing the trial, like I think using the Ball Lightning to teleport to some of the when you've got the specific mechanic in that fight that you need to do, where you run around the hourglasses. The Ball Lightning is actually pretty good for that, because you can throw it up, run down to another one, and then teleport up to it. So I think that's actually quite nice, but as far as doing consistent boss DPS, he just dies too slowly with the current setup. And honestly, at this point, I would be more interested in making a new build than progressing any further, spending any more currency on this build. And on this subclass, the Bloodmage just doesn't feel good. The next sort of things I'd be looking at scaling would be more gem levels, and in doing that we'd be cranking up our life cost by a lot, and I'd just rather... I'm happy with where I've gotten this build to. And currently I'm just using it as a mapper, and it can do map bosses fine, but yeah, definitely those pinnacle bosses, you'd probably want something with a bit better single target. If you still want to do it on Bloodmage, the Detonate Dead build looks pretty pretty crazy at the moment, and even with nerfs to that possibly coming, nothing confirmed, but if that was to get nerfed, I think it would still be better than trying to do bosses with this build currently. But as far as map goes, it's super fun, super enjoyable to map with, just teleporting around the place. It's kind of like a more controlled Flicker Strike, which I never actually liked Flicker Strike, but this sort of throw, move, teleport, and then everything just is nuked around you is really quite nice, and I think the skill effects look good as well. But yeah, I won't be taking this build any further, unless inspired by something in particular, or see a specific, anything specific that kind of grabs my attention. But even these skills, the Lightning Conduit in particular, you'd be better served playing it on a Stormcaller, just because you're getting double shocks, which is like, you can scale shock to an absurd amount, and with the way the Lightning Conduit works with that is unholy. Like, it's 100% more damage per 5%. No, I'm talking about mouse. What is it? Is it 100%? Yeah, 100% more damage per 5 shock effect is when you can do double shocks on Stormcaller. It's just better. It's just insane. And at some point I probably will recreate this build on a Stormcaller. Probably with 3 dragons again, at least for a while, with running the cast on freeze on the Stormcaller. But I think the synergy I was kind of going for with this one was because Bloodmage can get the flat crit chance on spells, and because your life remnants creates a remnant when you crit something, it seemed, and then because you're teleporting on it, you're teleporting where the remnants are being created, it seemed like a decent synergy, and I think for the most part it has been. I think if, like, in future you could definitely league start with something like this. Like, that's kind of what I equate it to currently, is like, this would make it okay league starter. But I just can't see this doing uber endgame sort of things, which is fun. First build I made, and I've made it without much guide. I've watched some things to kind of think about, oh, well, what if we run Lightning Conduit? Like, that was something I saw watching a video about Stormcaller, and that it would probably just be better served there. But I was able to fit it in, and it's like my main single target damage, so yeah, for the most part this build is of my own. I've not seen anyone else running Bloodmage, Lightning Conduit, Lightning Warp sort of deal. And that's because I think it's honestly just better off served on a Stormcaller. But yeah, I'm keen to make more builds. I am loving this game so far. Obviously it has its quirks, it's in early access, it's got a lot of work to be done still, but yeah, it's a pretty good game. Would love to make more videos on builds I'm trying out. Yeah. I have no clue where the fuck that is. It's covered up by the expedition. I'll run this expedition as well. Oh, he's in essence. Lovely. Oh. Oh. Interesting. Stepped off the shop ground the last second there. We'll run this. See if we can still get a tier 15 map. If we don't get a tier 15 map, I'll just upload it as a separate video. Those are both rarity, I might. Let's start. Yeah. Let's try that again. Start here. Sure, that works. That's actually a lot of rarity. Let's see. The other thing that makes me think that Stormcaller would just be better for this is, I don't know if it's Stormcaller or Stormweaver, whichever the sorceress one is the mana issues, because you would have basically permanent arcane surge, mana surge, arcane surge. You could run Mind Over Matter and just sustain your life and mana of having the more multiplier from Arcane Surge. And mana is my other issue, which I've tried to solve with Mana Remnants, because you're killing shocked enemies 100%, like pretty much 100% of the time, and critting them a lot. But yeah, like everything about this just makes me think I should have just rolled Stormcaller from the start. But we've made it work. We've gotten it to tier 15 with less than 10 divines, which I'm not at all unhappy about. I don't know who or what or why I'm being invited, but and the game crashed. Alright, well, I'll end it there, and I will get back to you guys once I've got a map with a boss. Cheers.